Hey, my name is Bethany Wells. I am a music teacher in the elementary system here in sunny Florida. So I just am here to kind of talk to you guys about disposition and what disposition is. And so I looked up the definition and it stated that it is a person's inherent qualities of mind and character. For example, this made me think about the recent movie that I watched, The Proposal, where the chief editor is nicknamed a lot of really awful nicknames like the witch, it, monster, slave driver. Her character is led by her career instead of friendships with coworkers, and she lives a very lonely life. A lot of times we can be labeled based off of like our appearance, or we could be labeled by our personality. And a lot of times our nicknames reflect that. And that's what disposition, it basically means to me, is that it's a reflection of who you are and as a person and how you interact in society. And so, for example, a nickname that I've had since I can remember, even when I lived up in New Jersey and then moved down to Florida, is Sunshine. A lot of people said it was because of my smile and my cheeriness and my energy and my crazy fun spirit and everything like that, and my positive attitude. But I like to think of it as just God kind of shining through me and in my life and everything, and giving me that positive attitude. So that being said, I definitely think that a disposition that I am really strong in is being able to have professional friendliness and warmth and genuine caringness towards the relationships that I have in the school system. So not just with the students, but also with my coworkers, and being able to have that like really good connection with them allows me to have intellectual conversations with them, support them emotionally, and then also spiritually support as well. For example, a student that I've known for just the few months that I've been at this school is now hanging out in my classroom and assisting me as like a student teacher aide, and has opened up about things that are going on at home, and I'm helping her process through all of that, and giving her positive ways to respond to those kind of situations that she's going through. But there's definitely ways that I can improve on as a teacher, especially since this is my first year teaching. And that is definitely in the area of being fair and showing fairness to all, including in my assessments. So I'm pretty good about doing assessments, having like set goals of what I want them to accomplish. And even if they get close to that, I kind of just pass them, which isn't always fair, because sometimes students put a lot more effort into a project or into an assignment, and they deserve a higher grade because they go above and beyond. But then another area that I can improve upon of being fair is following through with consequences. Consequences for how they're reacting and acting in the classroom, and then how they're acting in those special programs that I have. I provide an ORF band, and then I also have a singers group. And so being able to follow through when I say, hey, if you do this one more time, you're not going to be able to come to our next practice, or you're not going to be able to perform on stage because you're not showing respect to your fellow students. So follow through with that is going to allow it to be fair in the classroom and towards the students. But also understanding their backgrounds is definitely going to help with connecting with the student and also the families, and hopefully help with just the way that they respond in the class, whether it be positive or negative. And so one way that I do that is gearing my curriculum towards their cultural preferences. So, for example, here they really enjoy country music. And so, for example, I just did a lesson with a country song, and I had been trying the week before, trying to teach about how a song is ordered and how there's an A section and a B section and a C section. And they're all like, well, what are you talking about? Why are we talking about the ABCs? Like, that's kindergarten. That's a kindergarten song. And I was like, I'm not talking about the ABCs. I'm talking about like the form of a song. And so when the next week I presented a song that they were familiar with, it finally clicked. And they're like, oh, the A section is the verse and the B section is the chorus and the C section is the bridge. And I think that in school, we sometimes want to just focus on like the core curriculum, where sometimes we have to reach them where they're at and like what they like and what they find interesting for them to actually be able to make that connection for that higher level thinking. And so the last thing that I was going to talk about is just how do I improve as a teacher? Because man, I'm going to be having that evaluation at the end of my year because it's going to be my first year coming up. And one thing that I already know that I can improve on is the positive criticism that they provide me and like putting it into action. And so they're already saying like, hey, you could really improve upon your time management and making sure that you get done with class on time. And so I definitely think realizing that everyone has time and that each person's time is important to them, and valuing and respecting their time is super key. So possibly having like a timer on my watch, or putting a certain student that, you know, needs that kind of leadership to get out of their shell, be in charge of saying, hey, we got 5 minutes left of class or something like that. Another thing is communication, making sure that I'm keeping parents up to date, making sure I'm keeping teachers up to date as to like when we're having practices or when this is going on or when they can expect this to be sent home and that sort of thing. Because even though I'm not a classroom teacher, and I teach the entire school, I think it's still important for the parents to be aware of the accomplishments that their students are making in my classroom, and what they are doing in my classroom might not be something that they can do in a normal setting, just because like they're more creative and that's where they shine. So that being said, I just think that disposition as a teacher is just being self-aware of who you are and being aware of how you can improve. And when people say something about you, reflecting on that, is that a positive thing that they're saying about you, or is that a negative thing? And if it's negative, how can I change that into a positive thing? So, as a teacher, you definitely have to have core morals, and that is going to shape you as a teacher into having a positive disposition, a person who your students are going to want to approach, who are going to respect you as a teacher and want to listen to you. So, all right. Well, thank you guys for listening, and Merry Christmas.